What's the most effective way for normal Americans to buy real estate in today's economy? I'm Nate. I'm the Fit Future MD. I upload every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Pick up the free copy of the Nutrition and Workout Guide in the description below. I'm currently down 44 pounds. And if you're interested in how I did that, pick up the free copy of the Nutrition and Workout Guide. I'm the owner of Insert Sale, and Insert Sale is about spreading positivity by the positive messages on your t-shirts. So the difference maker line out that's right now is about those difference makers, those people making positive impact on society through their career. So if you're down with that message, pick up a difference maker t-shirt today at insercell.com. Use FitFutureMD for 20% off. So, I was, of course, watching the old man, Dave Ramsey, and he comes out with a series about how to buy real estate, and I completely disagree with how to do that as a regular American, right? An average American. So an average American is going to be making, 60 grand a year. Say you do the cheat code that I talk about, which is being married. So say you're making 100 grand a year. If your partner's making a little bit less than you, or the same, but the easier math is with 100 grand, right? So I'm gonna do 100 grand, instead of 120, but yeah, say you're making 100 grand a year, right? You're not going to save up, the average house in America is like roughly $400,000, right? So it would take you 7 to 8 years if you're really like shoving away somebody's whole salary. Just say if you're at 100 grand and your taxes are, are $40,000, $30,000 a year, right? So that leaves you with 70. The likelihood that you save up enough money to buy a $400,000 house is very unlikely, right? So what do, right? So interest rates right now have made it where, a mortgage is not necessarily cheap, right? But you don't want to be a renter forever and just throw away money and pay somebody else's stuff off, right? So it's like, well, what do you do? Well, number one, you're going to have a mortgage, right? And, he talks about a 15-year mortgage. The truth of the matter is that it does not matter what the length of the mortgage is, right? Because you're not going to be paying on it for 30 years anyway, right? But when situations come up, I personally want that mortgage to be as low as possible so that I can survive when the market goes like this, right? So it's a lot easier, so say you do a 15-year mortgage on a $400,000 house, you're talking about $2,800 a month, right? Whereas a 30-year might be $2,200 a month, right? And you can check that math. I'm just doing it on top of my head, right? But it's somewhere in there. It's going to be it's going to be $500-$600 lower. It's a lot easier to come up with $600 less when you lose your job or you have to go work at a grocery store or whatever, to make ends meet. It's a lot easier to hold on to your home with a lower mortgage payment, right? In bad times. Now, the key to this strategy is that, so he's got like the baby steps, right? And the baby steps talk about, basically baby step 2, right, is to pay off your debt as fast as possible, where we're going to use that strategy to pay off the mortgage as fast as we can, right? So instead of saving up to buy the house, we're going to buy the house with as little as we can put down, right? And then we're going to make extra principal payments to pay it off quicker. So you might pay off that house in 7 to 10 years rather than wait 10 years to buy it cash, right? And the reason you do this, and here's the big reason, right? Right now in the current economy, housing is limited, right? So there's a lot less supply. There's a lot more demand than there is supply, right? So as long as that situation is going to be occurring, and it's going to be occurring for at least 5 more years, 10 more years, you're going to have the price of housing continue to go up and up and up. Because, when you have less high demand and less supply, price goes up. That's how the supply and demand curve works. So even at a high, so say the interest rate's going to be a point higher now than a year from now, it's still better to get in, because the idea is we're not going to pay 30 years on the mortgage anyway, right? We're going to be making principal payments, extra principal payments, to pay off that house faster. Now, all of this is, obviously the mortgage companies will determine what you can and cannot afford, right? And, for me, with my student loans, I'm not able to afford any mortgage at all, right? They're like, oh, your debt to income ratio is too high. So then you go into, well, we got to pay down this debt to income ratio, right? So, that's really the only option you would have on that, right? And you'd have to rent, all that kind of stuff, move in with your parents, whatever. But for a normal American that doesn't have as much student loans as I do, right? That's what happens when you go to medical school. You get a lot of student loans. But, so a normal American is going to be able to get in that house. FHA loan, we personally did a 5% traditional mortgage on ours, right? So, almost everybody can come up with $10,000 or $15,000 to put down on a house, right? And especially if it's an area, but the idea is you pay off this mortgage 7 to 10 years, and then that becomes a rental for you, right? So the house is paid off and it's a rental, right? And when that happens, so say, my house personally, right? Current market, it would rent for about $1,700 to $1,800, right? So that would be $1,800 a month that now I have on my income side to go get the second mortgage, right? To go get another mortgage. And so I'm going to go buy another house with a mortgage and do the same thing, right? So this is how normal Americans gain wealth, right? In my opinion, you use the system there, they're going to make their $3,000, $5,000 fee or whatever it is to give you the mortgage, and all that stuff, and their little bit of interest they're going to get over 7 years, and you're going to take advantage of that by having a property that now cash flows $1,800 a month, basically your whole salary again, right? So that's how, I am personally going to be doing my strategy, right? Because, I'm not going to sit here and let that $500,000 house go to $1 million and try to save $1 million to buy it as a normal person. It's not happening, right? The truth is, like, salaries just don't increase the way that assets do. Assets increase at a higher level, at a higher rate than your salary is going to. So, your salary might go up 2% a year. Your real estate's going to go up 5-6% a year, probably 10% a year, for the foreseeable future, as long as there is a supply problem, right? There's more people that want to buy houses than there are houses. Now, here's the other thing that, and this is something that Grant Cardone talks about, that there's houses out there that people don't want, right? Well, if people don't want something, you see something sit up there for 60, 90, 100 days, that's an opportunity, right? And if it's an okay area, right? So like our house sat up there for 90 days in 2019. Housing market here was hot as crap, but nobody wanted this house. And I didn't know why. I just knew that we could afford it, right? It was, so, what did we do? We came in here and figured out why it was, it had a roof leak. It had a hole on the side of the house, right? It needed all the trees and bushes and all that stuff removed. It needed new carpet. It needed to be painted. I call this stuff lipstick, right? Stuff that I could personally take the time and do myself and add value to the home, right? So we were able to get, almost a third of the price knocked off because of that, right? And we're in in my opinion, one of the best neighborhoods where we're at, right? So, and we were able to get that for a lot cheaper, and now it's worth double what we paid for it, right? In less than 4 years, double what we paid for it. And even if that, so say that corrects 30% and goes down, we're still doubled, our money, at 30% lower. So, keep that in mind. You don't have to buy something that's necessarily move-in ready when, you can isolate one room and renovate that room completely and then move on to each room, right? So that's what we did. We renovated room by room, our whole house. And, now it's worth a lot more money. Most people are going to want to change the paint color anyway. Most people are going to want new carpets anyway, right? But honestly, we probably could have gotten away with steam cleaning the carpet and leaving it, right? To be honest, because we were going to live in it and ruin it anyway, and then change it out when you finally make it a rental, right? Could have done that. So, but this, in my opinion, is the best way. It's called buying in a wedge deal, right? It's something that's lower in value because something may be wrong with the property that you can easily fix, right? That normal people don't want to fix, right? And that's how, you beat and game the system, right? You use the system's going to give you the money, and you're going to pay it off as fast as possible to make it. So say, I think right now if we just paid the regular mortgage, we'd pay $2,500 off the principal and $5,000 in interest, right? So say we pay this thing off in 7 years, right? So $5,000 a year times 7, what's that? 35,000. So we bought for, 157. I'll go ahead and give you the number 157. It's worth 320 right now. If we pay 35 grand in interest, we still are on the better side of that appreciation, and houses are going to continue to appreciate, right? And even so say you get into a 2005 2006 market, right? And you pay right at the top, right? 7 years later, this is a rental, right? You don't really care what it is currently worth, right? All you care about is how much money it's going to bring, right? So you can also do that math as well. Like, hey, what are the rental prices here? Are they going to continue to increase 7 years from now? So say, my rental house now is $1,800. When I did the math originally, it was only like $1,250, right? But now it's $1,800. 3 or 4 more years from now, it may be $2,500, right? As a rental. So, keep that in mind, but this is how you make rental houses, right? You pay off, as a normal person, you pay off that as fast as possible by making extra principal payments. And that becomes your rental, and you do it again until you have 10 houses, in your lifetime. And then you can pass down these paid off properties to your children, and start them off in a better situation, right? And then they can do the same thing. And this is how you create generational wealth. Now, you go the monopoly way, 4 houses equals 1 hotel, right? Or apartment building. So you can then trade in those 4 houses if you want to get an apartment building, to get a hotel, right? So think about stuff like that, right? And that's how you continue to make generational wealth. I'm Nate. I'm the Fit Future MD. Leave me any questions down below. Obviously, my strategy, this is what when people ask me, like, if they're not interested in the stock market, this is the number one strategy for me, right? Let's say I like the stock market too. So, I do both, but, leave me any comments down below, share a video with somebody that needs it. Like, don't listen to Dave Ramsey. The risk when you have nothing is not really that much of a risk, because you already have nothing. If you're a regular American with less than $1,000 in your bank account, you already don't have anything. You're already broke. So keep that in mind. Use this strategy to improve your life, improve your family's fortune over time. Shop at InsertSell.com. If you're a difference maker, get you the difference maker t-shirt. If you're not, inspire other people to be difference makers. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.